Hey all. So, new CavEQ is here. I had this idea about halfway through when I noticed that, I kept trying the bosses with Reed to see how they would go, and I kept soloing. So, here is Reed soloing all six of the bosses. Now, this Ronin one is the worst because it's the only skill champion here. He has debuff purification, as you just saw. There is the possibility for him to go stun immune. This is just really not an ideal Reed fight in any way. There's even an evade, and Reed has no way to counter evade. So you are going to see a couple mistakes in here. I decided to just give this the once run through because I think this actually shows off pretty well how well Reed handles non ideal fights. So, you know, let's go through this. We've gone ahead and stacked the debuffs now. We got one Petrify back, which will help with Rise to Power. He purified the first one. He has gone debuff immune because I decided to go for the special 2 instead of the special 1. But now that I have that Petrify back and I have two of those debuff siphoners up, that matters to me quite a bit as well in case we get hit. That'll soften the bleeds. Now we're going to basically every time he comes close to that special 1, we're going to use our special 1 because that gets the stagger up and we get rid of the stun immunity so we can keep our debuffs up. We also have to worry about his evade less when we can stun him, so very important thing there. As you can see, we already have the passive up, so we're getting that extra power gain, and whoo, am I glad that his bleeds are doing 50% less there. I did not play well right there, panicked a little bit, and I think, yep, there I lose one set of the debuffs. Thankfully not both of them, but like I said, there were some mistakes in here. But this shows off just how powerful that debuff siphoner is. You don't really think about the first one because, 25% weaker debuffs, like that's not going to save me. But 50% weaker debuffs with willpower coming into play, yeah, that absolutely saved me. I would be dead without that. I don't think I would have had the chance to take advantage of adrenaline and heal back to where I am now. So there we go, we have two full sets back up. It would be nice to push him to a special 2 and get another debuff up, but yeah, we knew that wasn't going to happen. So now he's evading and stun immune, and when we evade, he also gains cruelties, so we know he's going to evade again. This is not ideal, we're about to lose the debuffs again. Yep, they're all gone. So like I said, there are a lot of factors in this fight that make Reed less than ideal, but there are also aspects of his kit, like the stagger, like the tankiness, like the evade, like the way that he reduces the damage of opponent specials, making it less scary that they might potentially, combo into one of those. And Jesus, right there, the bleed resistance, or sorry, the physical resistance really came into play because I got caught on a dashback. There's just basically enough here that Reed pulls it off, even though this is by far the worst fight for him. So now we have the disorient on us. That could have gone badly, but we finished it out. And I could have redone that on another run and gotten a prettier one. But honestly, like I said, that's the one where I am stretching, so I figured that's probably the best one to show you a less than ideal fight and show you how Reed pulls it out anyway. So here we have Sentinel. He has that destructive feedback node, so we need to be careful when we let him hit into our block. He has heavy hitter, so we can't counter his heavies. See right there, I let him hit into my block because I was going for the parry. It was fine. A little bit of damage is reflected. You basically just want to be aware of that. I don't think it's the end of the world to trigger destructive feedback and take the damage into yourself, as long as you've only hit into their block once or twice, or maybe hit them once with a heavy to reset the debuffs. What you don't want is to be laying into them and do tens of thousands of damage and then have that reflected and die instantly. Anyone who has taken the Captain America Infinity War boss in Act 6 knows what I'm talking about. Generally an unpleasant node. So here we have the power stings, and I think I actually made a bit of a mistake going into this because I used all three pre-fights. And those power stings would have come into play a lot more if I had not used suppression, and so he was throwing more specials. But the reason I decided to go with the suppression is because it's Sentinel, and now that his analysis is complete, see right there, he only used half a bar to throw that special one. And so I was slightly worried about him basically spamming special ones and backing me up and then destructive feedback taking a toll. And so to prevent that, I used the suppression. And I think that probably does make the fight safer, as you're seeing here. We're in very good shape, but it does also make it slower. So this could have been a little cleaner. Not cleaner. This could have been a little prettier if I had not used the suppression pre-fight, had just gone with Petrify and Debuff Siphoner, because we'd be seeing that Power Sting damage come in a lot. That said, Reed is hitting plenty hard, as you saw when all of the damage I did took effect all at once because of destructive feedback there. So I'm not really concerned about it. And if you were taking this fight with him and you were worried that, maybe you would get cornered, then I would play it the same way I did. See, right there, I did block him with destructive feedback up because it's important to remember it only reflects damage that you have already dealt. If you haven't touched the opponent yet, then it's fine to block or parry them, do what you need to do, and then wait it out, as I did. So we throw this special 3, and I gotta admit, it surprised me how much damage that did, because I know how hard Reed hits when he's fully ramped, and there were, 12 debuffs on the opponent. That's a pretty big fury. But at the same time, this is a fully ramped Sentinel who has very high armor already, and then he has 3 armor ups, and there's nothing in Reed's kit that gets around the damage reduction from armor without landing crits. And I can't land crits here with the special 3 because special 3s don't crit. And so that's exactly why the power stings with the alternate way of doing this would be so helpful. But, Reed just hit so hard when ramped that, like I said, even I was surprised, and that really was not that painful when you consider how long Sentinel fights tend to take if you're not using the absolute ideal options like a Corvus or Ghost or something. So, I feel good about that one. Next up we have this Sabretooth. This is the one with Super Buffet, where not any, but almost any buff you gain, he will not only nullify, but then copy. And then there's also Rich Get Richer, so he will gain power from having that buff on him. And there's that Disorient node. I think it's called Under Pressure, but it's when you dash back twice. It's kind of like No Retreat, but you get the Disorient on you instead of the degen. And we are doing our best to avoid that. I'm trying to dash back just once per special one. Basically, if he hits my block, that's fine. If I evade, even better. But we're trying to stack up our debuffs here. Now, he has Indomitable, so we're not reversing his regen. And he is immune to all forms of power manipulation. So we are also not stopping Rich Get Richer with the Petrifies or reducing his combat power rate with suppression. So at that point, you might wonder, well, then why did you use all of them and why are you bothering to stack them? And remember, it's because Reed gets more attack for every debuff on the opponent, so they're still helping us. And when we eventually get to our special 3, then they will increase the potency of the Fury, because again, more debuffs. So we've gotten the Disorient on us a few times. That is legitimately annoying, because it means that our parries could fail and it could be a little harder to refresh those debuffs, but we only had to go for it once. We got moderately lucky, didn't fail, and then that special 3 did significantly more damage than he had health left. So this is one where I feel like Reed is actually one of the best options. It's not just me pushing it. Now we have Juggernaut. So the obvious challenge here is the Unstoppable. We're going to try and play around that. I also just made it harder on myself by deciding to take a combo to the face. That was basically just a poorly timed attempt at reparry. Again, we could have gone for no suppression to try and maximize the power stings, but I actually would not recommend that at all here because all of his special attacks are unblockable and he has power snack, so he's going to gain something. We'll eventually turn that around, but the bigger issue is that if we're dodging a lot of his specials, then we gain a lot of those prowesses, and then our block proficiency drops. And this Juggernaut has a high enough attack value that while we would probably survive all the blocked hits we would need to take, even if we had like four of those prowesses, I didn't really want to mess with it. So you see what I'm doing here? I'm waiting out the unstoppable. I'm not really caring about power snack because now it's being reduced by 80%, and so it's kind of a non-issue. We are going ahead, keeping those debuffs refreshed. I believe I also brought Sue Storm, Invisible Woman on this, so his debuffs last a little longer, including the stuns, which is why I feel so comfortable going for the medium and then the heavy. We're building up to this last special 2. Notice the increased power gain from the passive because he's thrown 3 special 1s. Now we have power snack reversed. We also have the power he gains, his combat power rate, the power he gains from getting hit, reduced by 75%. And when he's stunned, that's reduced by another 30% because I run max petrify. So he's gaining very, very little power. We don't have to worry too much about his specials with all of the extra challenges they added to them on this node. I just need to land a freaking parry. I I apologize for that little display. I believe I actually recorded this one while watching TV with my family, and I was just not in the zone for that 10 seconds. But once I land a parry and land literally one more hit, there goes the special 3. Doesn't quite kill him because he's Juggernaut. He has, a metric ton of health, but then one heavy finishes it out, even without crits. So again, a place where Reed is a really, really good counter. I don't feel like I was stretching him there. There are probably better counters, but the point of this is simply that he can take all of them. And you'll notice that I have fairly limited teams as far as who I'm clearing the paths with, but that really doesn't matter because now that we're back to these class nodes, if you have a developed roster, a lot of these are really easy. Surfer and Odin can take the whole path for the Cosmic one. Jabari and Black Panther can take the whole path for the skill one. Warlock can take the whole path for the tech one. So it's really easy to bring Reed not only on himself but with synergies. And with that in mind, here's Sauron. You saw me reading through his abilities because he is still quite new. But this is the science quest, and so I was able to bring the full Fantastic Four. So I didn't think Reed would actually be great for him because any fight where the opponent goes unblockable for large stretches of time makes it rather difficult to parry heavy, which is kind of a core piece of Reed's utility. So I wasn't really expecting to solo this. You can see that I'm not at all used to his heavy timing yet, and I didn't punish that one. But so far so good. The evade already came in clutch. A reminder that when the opponent is unblockable, Reed has an extra 20% chance to evade when he's awakened, plus 3% more for every attempted unblockable hit. So I got lucky with that first special one, but not that lucky. Like, that was fairly likely. And then we just got a bunch of debuffs up, and the direct damage that we got from having the full Fantastic Four just melted him. So that was my very first attempt on Sauron. As you can see right here, I'm getting the 5-star shards. Sorry, Sauron. I'm going to keep doing that all month. I'm going to keep pronouncing it like the Lord of the Rings villain. But yeah, Reed was amazing for that. And it's really easy to bring him because he demolishes that entire quest, both normally and when you bring the Fantastic Four. Now, this is the other one, kind of like Ronin, where I felt like I was probably stretching him. This is my second attempt at Toad. The first one I actually did live in my CavEQ stream. I'll link that in the description. And so this was... I wasn't really expecting him to do that well because Toad has all these poisons, and if you let enough get on you, then you can get stunned. He is completely immune to regen rate modification, so Reed isn't really doing anything to stop that. No matter how many petrifies we stack, no matter how many debuffs I have up to trigger despair, he's still going to be regenning the whole time. He's still going to be annoying, see all those poisons. But if we build this up, if we ramp Reed properly, he won't have that many specials, and therefore we won't have to worry about, more tongue attacks, which can be kind of scary. We won't have to worry about all of those prowess that he's gaining. And all we have to do is ramp up so that we do more and more damage. We're dashing backwards periodically to purify those poisons, but also notice that at this point we're healing from them because I have 3 debuff siphoners up, and so they're only doing a quarter of how much damage they would normally be. So at full damage, they slightly out damage willpower, but right now it's like a third of willpower, and so it's basically free healing. I just have to make sure that I don't get too many on me. So we've taken a fair amount of damage here, both from crits through block and from early on when the poisons were actually hurting us, not healing us. But we are cleanly winning the HP race. We are only doing more and more damage as he is doing less and less to us. And whenever he's not critting through block, you're seeing how much Mr. Fantastic's physical resistance helps. This is going really well. Reed does so much more damage than a lot of people realize still. I mean, he is out-damaging this regen without any trouble. He's not mitigating at all, but he's just destroying Toad. And there the power stings make for a dramatic finish. A while ago, somebody asked me if I would take Reed or Spidey 99 or Void to rank 3, just in a vacuum. And my response was that if I had to choose a single science character to have it rank 3 for me to clear content with, it would be Reed. And I think that surprised some people, or they assumed, okay, well, it's just because he's your favorite champion, you're really comfortable using him, you're going to be able to do things that maybe aren't always wise and pull them off. And maybe that's true, and I will agree that he is a rank 4 here, which is an advantage. But with the exception of that Ronin fight, which I could have played way better, like, come on, that was by far the messiest of these 6. None of the other 5 were really that risky. Like, those were very solid solos of difficult champs. And I think it kind of proved, not necessarily proved me right, but showed where I was coming from when I said that. Reed's utility, even though it looks like it only covers a few things, you're like, yeah, when am I ever going to use the stagger on his special one? Well, if you have 25% extra power gain at all times and you can spam it, you can use it a lot of places. Reed's utility is much broader than it looks and allows him to take all kinds of different fights, including all 6 of these bosses. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you've been around this channel, you're probably not totally surprised because I know you've seen Reed content before. If you're new to the channel, welcome. You're going to see more of this. I love this guy. I'm so happy I took him to rank 4, and I am so happy that none of the bosses were a hard counter to him, because this just worked out beautifully, and I had a ton of fun making this. Until next time, thanks for watching, and take care.